Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into one of the most emotionally charged and beautifully crafted episodes of DemonSlayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, episode 25, titled Tsuguko, Kanayo Tsuyuri. This episode stands alone as a powerful, self-contained story that pulls you right into the heart of what makes this series so unforgettable. It's a moment where the focus shifts away from the sprawling battles against upper moons and instead turns inward to a deeply personal confrontation that reveals so much about resilience, choice, and the quiet strength it takes to carry on when everything inside you feels broken. The episode opens with us right in the thick of a final selection, the brutal trial where anyone hoping to become a demon slayer has to survive 7 unrelenting days on Fujikasane Mountain, surrounded by demons that can't escape the wisteria barrier. The sun is just starting to break over the horizon, casting a warm, almost serene light over a scene that's anything but peaceful. Bodies are strewn across the clearing, some mutilated beyond recognition, others still twitching in the final throes of life. And among them is a young girl, Kanayo Tsuyuri, collapsed against a tree, her body battered and bloodied, her right eye is swollen shut, her skin is torn and bruised, and she's barely holding on. Her expression is vacant, her dark eyes staring ahead without focus, as if the will to live has long since drained out of her. This is a girl who's endured more than most could imagine, sold into slavery as a child, stripped of every shred of agency, conditioned to obey without question, without hesitation, without thought. And now, after surviving 6 days and nights of relentless demonic onslaughts, her body and spirit are at their breaking point. She's won, technically. She's made it to dawn, but there's no triumph in her face, no relief. There's just emptiness. As the sunlight creeps closer, threatening to end her without her even trying to move, a figure steps into frame. Shinobu Kocho, the insect Tashira. Her presence is striking as always, delicate and composed, but there's a quiet intensity in the way she approaches this broken girl. Without a word, she reaches down, takes Kanayo's hand, and pulls her to her feet. The gesture is simple, almost effortless, but it's the beginning of everything. Shinobu wraps her arm over her shoulder and begins to carry her away from the carnage, moving with a determination that leaves no room for doubt. She tells Kanayo, in that soft, unwavering voice of hers, that she's going to take her away from this place, that she'll make her Tsuguko, her successor. And in her response, Kanayo's only reply is a faint, mechanical repetition of the word, yes, because that's all she knows how to do, obey. From there, the episode takes us on a journey through Kanayo's life after that moment, and it's a slow, deliberate unraveling of what it means to be human when every instinct to choose for yourself has been beaten out of you. We see her taken into the care of the Butterfly Mansion, surrounded by Shinobu and her younger sisters, girls who were once demon victims themselves, now living with a purpose. They bathe Kanayo, dress her wounds, feed her, and clothe her in the pink-tinted uniform that marks her as part of their world. But even in this sanctuary, Kanayo remains a ghost of a person. Her face is perpetually blank, her movements automatic. When the sisters ask her what she wants to eat or what she'd like to do, she doesn't answer. She doesn't know how to. This is where we get to the emotional core of the episode, the story of Kanayo's coin. Shinobu, recognizing that Kanayo has no internal mechanism for making decisions, gives her a special 5-sided coin. It's a simple, worn thing, one side engraved with a flower, the other left blank. From that day forward, every choice, whether to eat this food or that, whether to train or rest, whether to act or stand still, is decided by the flip of that coin. It becomes her compass in a world where she has no sense of self, a way to move through life without having to confront the terrifying void of deciding for herself. And as we watch her day after day flipping that coin to determine even the smallest actions, there's a profound sadness that settles in. This isn't freedom. It's a mechanism to simulate it. But Shinobu never stops pushing, never stops believing that there's something alive beneath that empty exterior. We see glimpses of it in the moments where Kanayo's training begins to take shape. She learns the intricacies of flower breathing, a derivative of water breathing that Shinobu herself has refined into something uniquely precise and lethal. Kanayo's physical talent is extraordinary. She moves with a natural grace and speed that astonishes even the other girls. But it's all executed without passion, without intent, just flawless, mechanical perfection. Shinobu watches her spar, watches her cut through training dummies with surgical accuracy, and still, there's no spark in her eyes. The episode builds to a moment that feels like it's been simmering beneath the surface for years. Kanayo is summoned to spar with Tanjiro, Kamado, who's still recovering from his own brutal battles. He's hesitant at first, concerned about her injuries, but Kanayo flips her coin without hesitation and advances. What follows is a display of raw, almost inhuman skill. She moves like liquid, her flower-breathing forms unfolding with a fluidity and precision that leave Tanjiro completely on the defensive. She doesn't blink, doesn't hesitate, doesn't show even a flicker of emotion as she drives him back relentlessly, her blade stopping just shy of his throat. It's mesmerizing to watch, but it's also heartbreaking because it's so utterly devoid of life. She's a weapon executing its function, nothing more. Tanjiro, battered and breathless, refuses to fight back. He sees the emptiness in her, the way she moves without any personal stake in the outcome, and it shakes him. When the sparring ends, he confronts her directly, his voice thick with frustration and compassion. He asks her why she's letting a coin decide everything for her. He tells her that she has to decide for herself, whether to fight, whether to live, whether to feel anything at all. It's a plea that cuts straight through the silence she's wrapped herself in for so long. And then, in a moment that carries the weight of every struggle she's endured, Tanjiro reaches out and snatches the coin from her hand. Kanayo freezes. For the first time, her carefully constructed world cracks. There's no coin to hide behind, no external force to tell her what to do. Tanjiro puts the coin back in her palm and closes her fingers around it, telling her that she has to choose whether to keep holding on to it or to let it go. The silence that follows is deafening. Her hand trembles, the faintest quiver, and then, slowly, her fingers tighten, not around the coin, but into a fist of her own volition. She drops the coin to the ground, and for the first time, a genuine, fragile smile breaks across her face. It's small, tentative, like a crack in stone letting in the first hint of light, but it's hers. She has made a choice. The episode closes with Kanayo standing alone in the courtyard, staring down at the discarded coin. The weight of that decision hangs in the air, unspoken but undeniable. This isn't a triumphant declaration or a grand transformation. It's the beginning of something far more difficult and far more human. The act of reclaiming herself, one uncertain choice at a time. Shinobu watches from a distance, her own expression unreadable but filled with a quiet satisfaction. The girl she pulled from the edge of death all those years ago has finally taken her first step away from being a puppet. What makes this episode so powerful is how it strips away the spectacle of demon slaying, the explosions, the clashing blades, the supernatural feats, and lays bare the human struggle at the heart of it all. Kanayo's story isn't about fighting monsters. It's about fighting the numbness that comes from having your will stripped away, piece by piece. Every detail, the way her hands shake when she drops the coin, the blank stares that slowly give way to flickers of awareness, the relentless obedience that has kept her alive but trapped her all at once, is rendered with such care that you can't help but feel the weight of it. This is a girl who has endured unimaginable cruelty, not by being unbreakable, but by shutting herself down entirely. And now she's being asked to wake up. It's a story that resonates because it's so intimately tied to the question of what it means to be free. Freedom isn't handed to you. It's not something you can inherit or be told to accept. For Kanayo, it's the terrifying, exhilarating act of deciding for herself, even when every fiber of her being screams against it. And in that single moment when she lets the coin fall, you see the first fragile thread of a person emerging from years of conditioning. It's not a victory in the traditional sense. No demons are slain, no grand speeches are made, but it's a victory all the same. Episode 25 doesn't just give us a deeper understanding of Kanayo Tsuyuri, it reminds us why these characters matter so much. They're not defined solely by the swords they wield or the demons they cut down. They're defined by the choices they make in the quiet, unseen moments, the ones that no one else witnesses. Kanayo's journey to find her own will is messy, imperfect, and far from complete, but it's real. And that reality, that raw human struggle, is what makes this episode linger long after the screen fades to black. So that's the heart of Tsuguko, Kanayo Tsuyuri. It's a beautifully intimate look at a girl learning to claim ownership of her own life, rendered with all the subtlety and emotional depth that DemonSlayer does so well. If you've seen it, I'd love to hear what that moment with the coin meant to you, because it hits everyone a little differently. What do you think it took for her to finally let it go? Let me know your thoughts.